Hey guys, Sean McGarry coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the music salon where great things happen. Hope everyone is doing awesome out there today. Got a fun little lesson. We're going to talk about creating kind of cool little rhythm parts, man, with Triads. So let's dive into today's lesson. Let's get right into it here today. So I was playing over a little vamp here. I was playing E flat major 7 to F major. Okay, so if you look at this chord progression, right there's kind of your vibe right there. Now in the third measure, watch this. Resolve it to that G minor. Okay. Now, why? A couple things why this is important. What I want to talk about is, a lot of times people ask me, how do you tell what key a song is in? Now it's a whole long discussion. I talk about it on my channel a lot, but the quick answer I tell people is if you're in doubt, try the first chord. A lot of times it will be, okay, in pop and rock and blues and stuff. Not always, okay? And here's an example of where it's, you want to think of this song as, or this jam, not song, but in G minor, okay? So it like resolves, it doesn't really play the chordal thing, chordal center till the end, right? So, I sped things up for this video, but like I could hang on this for a while. I could never go back to that, and I could still play. I could never even touch a G minor chord, and I could still play all the stuff from G minor in there. But let's check this out. So if we take like the major sevenths and stuff away, and you just play this, how many songs go like this? A lot do that. Okay, so you hear that sound a lot, and then we want to do is just make it a little more sophisticated, I guess, by playing these major sevenths and minor sevenths. So I was actually playing over this little loop I created, this variation of the chord. Now this is interesting. I want to show you something here. Well, if you look at this shape, that's a major 7. Well, it's really, that's G minor, right? With the root E flat or D sharp on top of it. So you could think of it as like a minor chord, G minor or G minor triad with D sharp on top. So it creates that major 7 sound. So it's really, I love that variation of it. And it's just a cool little way to think about this chord. See, if I'm playing that, I'm right there to play, G minor over that major 7. So it's kind of a bluesy sound over a jazzy sounding chord. So I like that a lot. Now, going back one more time to this little rhythm, we'll do that 3 times, right? And here's our resolve. So the idea I had was just to take the, G minor triad and F major and just run it up and down the neck in different inversions and make little riffs out of it, right? So this is nothing crazy. This is just real simple stuff here if you know what you're doing, with these triads. So here I started up here with this variation. There's a G minor right out of the chord. Look at that. There's my G minor. There's the triad. So that inversion I went, and then a whole step back to this shape of the triad. So again, you could trace it to the chords. Here's a triad. And then just add little things to it, rhythm, add suspended chords to it, but like if I'm playing. Look at that. Just raise this note up. Cool sound. So you can pick the notes. Get some really neat sounds. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. Then I went down to the next inversion. Right here, G minor, which looks like a D minor shape, and then right here to an F, which looks like a D shape. So look at that. This is, once you start connecting these shapes and patterns, it's really easy because D minor shape, D shape, but the chords are G minor and F. Okay, so here, again, little sus action with that. Then I go to this inversion, G minor. Look, you can add what's called like an add 9. There's your F, right out of the chord. Okay, so all together we got G minor, F, G minor, F, G minor, F, just resolve it. Look, so if I go like this, so I go from this F, one inversion here, or even like a little third you could play, and slide to that G minor. Okay, so that was the first thing I did, just playing around with that. Then we go to a different string set, right? So up here, again, back off this chord. Look, here's my G minor. So you can think of this groove right here, G minor, F. So I'm just taking right here, this shape. Look at that. And there's like, so that's your A minor shape. A shape. Now let's talk about that for a second. That should be a light bulb moment for everybody out there. Let's stop just for a second. With these chords, see how this works? A minor shape to A. So see those two chord shapes that we play all the time, A minor and A. You just got to find these in connection with these chords, you know, these chord progressions. So up here, it's right out of that chord, look. G minor, there's the bigger chord. There's the bigger chord, but I'm just taking these chunks, these little triads. So hopefully that's a little light bulb moment. Let's keep rolling here. But then again, I'm taking... And when you get to these, don't limit yourself to just this, right? You could, you know, if you're playing just like a real simple part, you know, that's cool too. But you can also add all these little variations, look, all off that one shape. Okay, then I went down here. Well, now look, this looks like a D7, right? And then right here, oops, sorry, what am I playing here? Oh, there we go. So check this out. And again, this is right out of the cage stuff. So here's my, right from that, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but let's stay on track for 1 second. So here I go. And then my next variation is going to be staying on these three strings, right? Starting with the root on the D, right there, and then resolve back to... Okay, so one more time, this last variation I did off these strings was A minor shape, A shape, went down to the 7th and 8th fret. Okay, real cool stuff, man. You're just playing these little ideas. So just get a little loop, find a backing track, whatever, however you practice, man. And just try and, you know, play parts. You know, just try and do these little exercises in some sort of cohesive exercise here. Now let's talk about some other things, man. You know, let's say I want to play, well, let's say I go up here. Okay, so I'm playing these bigger chords now. I like this a lot. You know, do little exercises. I'll do this kind of stuff. I like this. So here I'm playing E flat, or D sharp, however you want to think of it, E flat major 7 arpeggio. Then look, bam, right on that F. Then I'm playing like an F7 here. Cool sound. And then, so here's a cool exercise. You could do like a, you could, okay, play a G minor 7, then play a F, then play E flat major 7. Resolve with the G minor. So you can mix and match these, you know. So I'll do it reverse now. So now I'll go. And then there's my F, then G minor 7. So those little arpeggios are great little workouts, and they're kind of ways to kind of work around the chord, you know, and you can kind of superimpose those. Let me see if I got this loop on here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Let's see. Okay, so if I'm jamming around saying just G minor. Stuff like that. right? So you can kind of just throw them in there for little licks and stuff like that. Now, it wasn't the best example. But again, you got to find where to put these little ideas, and they're all over the neck. You know, look, what if I go up here? You know, just look at the chord. Okay, here's G minor. Here's F. This kind of stuff. These are good exercises, by the way. I'm getting a little off track here, but this is a good idea. So let's say I go one more time. Here's my G minor. I'm going to go backwards this time. I'm going to go. It's all the same, I'm just playing in a different order. So now I'm going G minor 7, F major, or, and then look, back up. So there's exercises all day long. And again, you know, you could do over just like a 1-chord vamp. Let me show you one more thing here. Let me just do this. I'm going to loop 1 chord here. I'm going to go, let's see here. Okay, so it's just a G minor, right? Nothing going on. But I can add this F in there to give it a little bit of a sound, so. Right? So it's just kind of been superimposing that sound of the F over that G minor. So cool ideas, man, just to get you using triads for things that are musical. So just playing them as exercises. So hopefully it helps you guys and girls out a little bit. As always, if you get something out of this lesson, please hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. I do have a Patreon page. Always have material, typically have these lessons tabbed out and some new features on there if you check it out. Thanks as always, and we'll see you next lesson. Thank you.